everyone, hello Flosstube. This is my very first attempt at filming a Flosstube. We'll see if it's successful at this point. I don't even know really how to upload a video to YouTube, but we will see how we go. So hello, my name is Melanie. I'm Wordy Stitches on Instagram and here on Flosstube now. So this is just going to be sort of a standard sort of Flosstube, and then I might do another video with my 2021 finishes because I've ended up with a few of them. So a little bit about me. I'm going to do the Know Your Needleworker tag by Whimsy Daisical, but just to guess a little bit of background about my stitching. I learned cross stitch in high school, either year 8 or year 9. We had a needlework elective class, and one of the things we did was cross stitch, and I really liked it, and quite a few of my friends did it, and I did it for a few years. Most of high school, probably fell off a little bit in year 12 when I got busy, and then I went away to uni. Didn't have a lot of money, didn't have a lot of crafts. I'm old, so it was a while ago, and there wasn't all the stuff there was now. And then over the years, I've done little bits and pieces. I've done a few cross-stitch things as gifts over the years. So I don't have a lot of that stuff. And then, the last few years, I was sort of getting interested in other forms of embroidery and a little bit of like hand-stitched toys and things. And then at the start of this year, I found an old cross stitch. I was finishing up a couple of embroidery pieces that you'll probably see in my finish parade if I end up doing that as well. And I found an old cross stitch that was nearly finished. And I thought, well, I don't have another embroidery thing to do at the moment, and I'm in a bit of a stitching mood. So I finished that piece, and then I don't know what I was Googling. I don't know if I was Googling something to do with backstitch on that piece, or whether, I think maybe I was talking to my mum and saying, oh, holding the hoop these days, now that I'm a bit older, it's not quite so comfortable and maybe I need a frame. And so I was Googling, frames. Are there frames to hold your embroidery? I used to have a scroll rod frame in high school, but no idea where that is these days, unless it's buried in the depths of my spare room, which is entirely possible because that place is a little bit scary. But anyway, so I was Googling cross-stitch frames, embroidery frames, and I think that's when I discovered Flosstube, and down the rabbit hole we went. So I think the first, it might have been Brenda, Handwork Maniac. I found one of her videos about her lap stand, and then started watching her, and then saw all the patterns and things that are around now, and started watching other Flosstubers. And a year later, here we are, and I'm doing a Flosstube myself. So none of my friends are really into stitching. I have one friend who's a really good sewer and quilter, and she does a bit of machine embroidery, and another one who does like paper piece quilts and a few other bits and pieces, but I haven't been able to stitch in person with anyone over the last year or so because of what's been going on in the world. So and Flosstube has kept me company for lots of hours of stitching and lots of hours in lockdown. So that's my story. I've come back to it, and I've really enjoyed Flosstube and really enjoyed learning more about cross stitch and seeing how it's gotten so interesting, and there's so many options, and it doesn't matter what you like, you can find something to stitch. So I thought I would give it a go myself. So all right, before I ramble on too long, because I can see that I've already been rambling on for 4 minutes, and now I'm throwing things on the floor, so well done me. I was trying to be organized. All right, so let's do the Know Your Needleworker tag. So where do you live? So you might be able to tell from the accent, I am Australian. I live in Melbourne, which is the capital of the southernmost state of mainland Australia, Victoria. And I've lived here since I started uni in the 90s, essentially, except for a short stint where I lived in London for a few months for a job. So I live in Melbourne. What do I do for a living? So I'm a writer, so I write fantasy and urban fantasy books. I have written romance. I also still have a part-time day job, which is not that interesting, and I don't really intend to talk about it on this channel. So yeah, so I'm a writer, so there may be a little bit of book talk here, but I don't really want to talk about my writing and stuff. I do have another Instagram and various social media for my writing, so that's linked on my Wordy Stitches Instagram if you are at all interested in books. Do I have any children? No, not married, no kids. Do I have any pets? Can't talk. Yes, I have a cat. Her name is Vespa, or as she is known on the internet, the Diva Kitty. So she is a tortoiseshell moggy. Had her a little bit over 5 years. I usually have 2 cats. My other cat, who was also a tortie, sort of died at the start of 2020. She had kidney failure, which was sad. Of course, she wasn't that old. She's only 9, just turning 10, so that's sort of young for a cat's kidneys to go bad, so that was a bit sad. But yeah, it's just been hard to sort of get out and look at kittens and things. And now that you might be able to hear squeaking, that is Vespa squeaking at me because I am talking and she's going, what's going on? So yeah, so I only have one. One of my 2022 goals is probably to maybe get a kitten because kittens are entertaining. What are your other hobbies besides stitching? So I do watercolor and a bit of digital art. I like to draw, sort of that's something I've taken up. I think I sort of back in 2014, I sort of on a whim decided to do a watercolor class and really enjoyed it. Didn't particularly know anything about drawing or art before then. I knit, so my sister-in-law, ex-sister-in-law, I still call her my sister-in-law, is an indie yarn dyer. She got me back into knitting, and she also taught me to crochet, and for the last few years I've probably done more crochet than knitting. I've gotten into Attic 24's blankets, so I've made 1 or 2 of those for a year for the last 3 years, and then that kind of kills my crochet bug over the winter. And then I do other things in the warmer months. So I do a bit of crochet. I can sew. I've done some very basic quilting. I've made bags, and as I said at the start, I sort of interested in sort of like hand stitched toys and dolls and things, and do a little bit of that. I just have to ration out my crafting time because I do so much typing with writing and the day job. That my hands can get sore, so I just have to be careful what I am doing. What is your favorite movie? That is a very hard question, and I really love movies, so it's been a bit sad. The last few years I've been to the cinema like twice. Once before the pandemic at the start of 2020, and I went a couple of months ago to see the Bond movie. So I like the Marvel movies, you know, I like sci-fi and fantasy, I like rom-coms, I like action movies, I like a lot of things. Some of my favorites would be Pirates of the Caribbean, the first one, Lord of the Rings, Notting Hill. Recent movies, I'm trying to think. Moana, I like Disney animation. I really liked the Eurovision movie that Will Ferrell did, which is unusual because I don't usually like his movies, but I must have been in the mood. I thought that was pretty funny as a Eurovision watcher. But I could ramble on about movies, so I will stop. What is your favorite TV show? So again, I watch quite a bit of TV. I like documentaries, I like comedies. I haven't been, you know, I do watch a bit of like true crime and stuff, but I haven't really been in the mood for anything too dark the last couple of years. So, you know, I've been watching Big Bang Theory. Again, I was a Buffy fan, a Firefly fan. I really love The West Wing. Newsweek, is that what it's called? The Newsroom, sorry. Aaron Sorkin shows I really like. At the moment, I've started watching Mum, which I never watched when it was on TV, but it's on streaming now, and that's been really funny. Yeah, so I watch a fair bit of TV while I'm stitching or doing other things on the couch after I've finished work and writing for the day. What is your favourite book? Now, that is an exceedingly difficult question for a writer. Instead, I might tell you a few of my favourite authors. So, Robin McKinley, Lois McMaster Bujold, Terry Pratchett, Naomi Novik, Diana Wynne Jones, Kylie Scott, Eloisa James, Alexis Hall. Yeah, I could go on and on about books. I read a lot. I'm a fast reader, and I've always been a fast reader, and I've always read a lot of books. My parents were teachers, so I could read before I started school. So yes, team book. So I may have a little bit of book chat on here, and there may be some of those other crafts that I talk about. What is your favorite music? So I have fairly broad musical tastes. I played the oboe in high school. How's that for a very cool instrument? So I was in the school band and those sorts of things. So I listen to soundtracks. I listen to pop and rock. I'm a big Taylor Swift fan. My writing muse seems to really like her music to write to. So Adele, Olivia Rodrigo, Melissa Etheridge. I'm blanking on people. U2, Robbie Williams. I like jazz. I like classical. I will listen to most things. I'm not really into heavy metal because that's a little bit screamy. I've never listened to a lot of rap or something, but I love Hamilton, so I'm not saying no to rap. So yeah, broad musical tastes. If I like the sound of it, I will listen to it. And then one word that best describes me, I would say curious. Perhaps I like learning new things. That's one of the reasons I like to read and I like to watch TV and documentaries and try new hobbies, is because I like learning stuff. So perhaps curious is a good way to describe me. Okay, and that is the end of that tag. So as I said, I've come back to stitching at the start of 2021, and just hang on one second because I think someone's coming to the door. Okay, I'm back. Korea. Not sure why. It's a public holiday here, so I wasn't expecting to be interrupted, and my cat just knocked the camera over. So let's, the angle may have changed slightly, and I apologize for that. Where was I? I think I was talking about past stitches. So yes, so I learned to stitch in high school, and I remember the very first project we did was like a bookmark on even weave. I didn't learn on Ada. For some reason, our teacher just started us on even weave, and probably was even some linen. I wouldn't have known the difference back then. But I didn't stitch on Ada. So we did a bookmark, and then I think I did one of those, hand towels with the, well, I guess that's kind of Ada border, a cross-stitchable border for my mum, which I think she still has. So if I ever learn how to insert a photo in a YouTube video, I will take a photo of that one day and share that one. But I did find, I have got one of my old stitches. This is one of my early stitches. Oh, so this is one of my first big projects. Nothing like starting with something small, Mel. I was going through a horsey phase. I grew up in the country. I had friends with horses and things. I never had one, but it was never a good ride and stuff. And this on the back says I did it in year 10. So that's the 4th year of high school here in Australia. So I would have been 16-ish. So there you go. That's that. And it says it cost $12 to frame. That's not the case any longer. Okay, so that's past stitching. If I find other bits and pieces, as I said, I've given a lot of it away for gifts. I've got a few other little things around the house that are just silly, which I will show on other videos, because otherwise this video is going to get too long. All right, so let's do whips. So I am a fairly monogamous stitcher. I didn't know that there were people who had heaps and heaps and heaps of whips on the go until I found Flosstube. That's what makes you happy. Good. I kind of fell down that rabbit hole a little bit with knitting though. I have a lot of knitting stash, which is easy to acquire when you have a sister-in-law who makes beautiful yarn. But you get a bit overwhelmed and you want to start all the things. So I've been trying not to start too many things. I have acquired just a few patterns, but I have 4 whips at the moment, and probably that's around a good number for me. I've got a small thing and I've got sort of 3 big things on the go at the moment, and there's going to be another one which I'll talk about in haul. But anyway, let's talk about these whips. So yeah, so at the start of the year, after I finished that old cross stitch, I thought, oh well, and I'd been watching some Flosstube and seen lots of good things. I thought, well, maybe I'll order myself something largish. And then I'll be able to cross stitch on that on and off as I feel like it, and that will feel the cross stitching urge. So I think I saw an Owl Forest pattern. It's probably on Brenda Handwork Maniac's channel. It wasn't this one, but I went and had a look at Owl Forest's site and really liked this one. So this is Atlantis. You know, I've got a thing for octopuses, octopi. I like the beach, even though I burn, but so I thought I'll order that, and that'll keep me going. Of course, what I didn't count on was the craziness of pandemic mail. So I think I ordered it in late February, and it didn't arrive till August, and in the meantime I had bought and stitched other things, but I have started this, so that's how far I've got. But I will keep going. It's lots of little motifs. It's just the kit fabric, which I think is, I'm not sure if it's I think it might be a 32 count, just some sort of Lugana even weave, and the kit flosses. So that's that one. Next one, so my next oldest bit is probably this one. So this is Take Wing by Mojo Stitches, which I think I probably saw on Michelle G. Bendy Stitchies channel at some point during the year, and I really like Aussie birds. I'm an Aussie, but my mum in retirement has sort of gotten into bird observing and things, and it's kind of rubbed off a bit on me. Not that I didn't like birds before, but now I know more about them, so I just thought that was a really cool, I kind of like Quaker style stuff, but Quakers with Aussie birds is good. So this is where I am with this. So this is the called for fabric, which I think is 36 count wheat tea by Jay's Cross Stitch. And I bought the thread pack, which is DMC and some cottage garden threads from Mojo Stitches. So cottage garden threads are an Australian thread dyer, and they're actually they're based in a town that's not too far from the town where I grew up, so I kind of like their floss, and are nice to support a local business. All right, and then my next one, which is fairly recent, whip. So one of the Flosstubers I watch is Christy Corner Needlework, Dr. Christy, and I saw her temperature bookshelf that she had last year, but I didn't see it till sort of like later in the year, so it was too late to start one. But I thought I might like to do it. You know, I'm a writer and a reader. How can you resist a bookshelf? So this is her 2022 version. I'd actually bought the 21 version as well. And she also has a pack, because, you know, there's all these little knickknacks and things on the shelves that you can put in. She has a pattern for some additional ones. So I'm going to do a mix of knickknacks on my shelf, but I'm doing the 22 for the actual bookshelf, I think. And I'm just using DMCs. I've done my temperature range here in Oz. Obviously we use Celsius, not Fahrenheit, so I've got fairly small temperature ranges, but Melbourne has like quite a variable climate, quite cold. In winter we don't get snow, but it can get quite cold, and then it gets up to like 100, 110 higher on some hideous days in summer. And here is my tiny start. So it's I haven't said, it's Monday the 3rd of January here, so I've got 2 books. It was really hot on New Year's Day, and then it was a bit less hot yesterday, and then it's quite mild today. So today's, I think I will be in one of the other colours. I've done my own colours for that, for DMCs. Let me see, do I have my threads in here? Yes, I do. Excuse the sexy bag. So I've sort of done like 4 ranges, so blues, teals, pinks and corals, which are sort of my favourite colours, to do sort of tonal rather than doing the rainbow. So I'm doing that. And then my last whip, which is my newest whip. It's very cute. All right, so this was my new start. I was planning on something else, but the fabric I'm waiting on for that has not arrived. So I won this very cute Blackberry Lane pattern called Baby It's Cold Outside, off one of Michelle G. Bendy Stitchies giveaways. And, you know, it's an American Robin in the snow. And for some reason, when I looked at this, it just made me think of Australian pink robins. We have some pretty crazy coloured robins here in Australia, and pink robins are my favourite because they're just ridiculous. They are like dark grey and like hot neon pink essentially. And so I thought I would have a go at converting it to an Australian pink robin, and I'm not going to do the snow. I'm going to have it sitting on a wattle branch. So I started that on New Year's Day, and because it's been really hot and I've been lazy, there's been lots of stitching. So this is where I'm at. So this fabric is a 28 count linen of some sort. It's a sort of a sagey green color. Hopefully, I think that looks fairly good on the camera actually. Look at his little grumpy face. It's the best grumpy face ever. So they are this ridiculous pink. Every time I look at it, I go, that's ridiculous pink. And then I go and look at it, a photo reference. And I go, it is that. If I can insert a photo, I'll insert a photo, but don't hold me to that. So, and then I'm just going to have him little yellow wattle flowers and a few leaves and things. So that is a super cute pattern. This pattern, it's not very big, but there are a lot of colours. There's about 30 odd colours in here, but it's been a fairly quick stitch, despite lots of colour changes and things, and it's very cute. If you like normal robins, I definitely recommend it because it's super cute grumpy robin, and who doesn't want a super cute grumpy robin? So I think I'm going to probably end up with some sort of bird wall. All right, so that's it for whips. I don't have any fully, even though I stitched quite a lot in 2021, which I will do in my finished parade video. I don't have any fully finished objects because I was in lockdown for about 285 days or something ridiculous of the last 2 years. And, you know, going out and looking for frames and that sort of stuff has just been a no-go. So I've just stitched a lot. And so this year, probably I'm going to need to finish some things. But I did get a bit of a wild hair yesterday and decided to dust off my sewing machine. I sewed a lot of masks in 2020 and sort of, I think, got a bit over sewing boring things. So I thought it was about time to sew something a bit more fun. So I made myself a couple of project bags. I just dived into the fabric stash. I have a small fabric stash, it's not massive, but I dived in and found some fabrics. Excuse me. My video keeps dropping out for some reason. All right, I'm going to hope that I can stitch these together. But anyway, I dived into my fabric stash and found some fabrics, and I used Elizabeth Ann Can Stitch, her tutorial, and I've just made myself a couple of project bags. And I have realised that I need some sort of remedial rotary cutting course because I'm just not that good at it. I've done some very basic quilts, but it was a while ago, and I always feel like I'm going to slice my fingers off, and my zipper wrangling was a little bit rusty, but hey, they're a start. I will probably make a couple more. I don't need heaps of project bags. I'm not going to win. Don't intend to end up with heaps of projects, and that is famous last words, isn't it? All right, haul, that is it for whips. So let's do a little bit of haul. I don't have a heap this year. I have quite, let's just say a few patterns. I've discovered linen, and bought a little bit of that, but you know, there's been online shopping because we've been stuck at home being bored. So here are some recent things. So let's start with some fabric. Ooh, so this is, I'm going to say 32 count Whit Sunday linen by number 12 Stitch Co, who is handmade at number 12, I think, on Instagram, Nicola. I think I discovered her via Nikki Noodles, and I really like her fabrics. I've stitched on quite a few things. I bought a few of her. She every so often she has mystery grab bags and things where she has smaller pieces, so that's been a good way to try some colours and some different counts. I think I probably stitched on 28 and 32 mostly previously. I've gone up to 36. I'm not sure I could do 40 without magnification, and I haven't quite gone to the magnification stage yet. So that is haul. I've bought some DMC threads to stitch various things, but we all know what DMC looks like. I did buy myself the DMC colour chart, which is great because I don't think I could have done that colour conversion without it. Like, I bought the proper one with the threads. So that's going to be fun because I am someone who likes to change colours a bit now and then. All right, so the other, okay, No, not cross stitch, it's embroidery. So this is from Hare's Nest Stitchery, which is 2 Aussie stitching designers, and I am, here we go, Brenda Ryan and Jo Maxwell. So this is sort of like an applique freehand stitching kit called A Journey to Nowhere Much. So sort of freehand stitching and applique and things, and it's a map. Now, and what I thought I might do is, as a fantasy writer, I thought I might try and stitch a map of one of my fantasy countries. So I just thought that would be a fun project. I, still want to keep doing a little bit of non-cross stitch embroidery because I find it interesting to learn the stitches and things. And I saw this on Cottage Garden Threads, YouTube or Instagram or something. She might have done an IGTV maybe. And I thought that looks like fun, and so I bought that. That was a Christmas present itself. And then I have an actual Christmas present. So as I said, I think none of my friends are really cross stitchers, but one of my besties said, I want to buy you a cross stitch pattern for Christmas because you seem to be really enjoying that. So she said, tell me one you would like. So I chose a long dog. It's not a super massive long dog. This is about 200 by 200, I think. So this is Dilemma. So you get the border, and then there's these 16 designs, and you have to pick 9 to fit into your border. So that's the Dilemma. So that looked like fun, and they're all sort of fantasy and historical creatures, which again fits in well with what I write. So that's going to be fun. And then she said, I'm going to get you some thread. What do you want? And I said, well, when I was thinking about it, I was thinking I might just try some silk and do it in that. She's like, fine. I'm like, you don't have to buy me the silk, but she's crazy. She bought me the silk, which was lovely of her. So, and again, I picked the colour, so it wasn't a surprising Christmas party, but it's awesome. So look at this. Look at this teal. It's a little bit greener and brighter in real life than it's showing up on the camera here because bluey greens are really hard to photograph. But this is Silks For You, another Aussie. And it is beauteous. I've just got to work out how I skein it up into smaller skeins. So that will be my task for the next day, a few days until my fabric turns up and I can start it. But that's going to be exciting. So that's about it for haul. So I talk a little bit about plans. So I am doing Whip Go this year. I only learned about Whip Go halfway through last year again. I've got sort of smallish goals. So I've got my 4 big projects. So I've got Dilemma, Atlantis, Take Wing, and the bookshelf. A couple of catch-up sessions if I don't keep up with my bookshelf on my Whip Go, and then a few other small bits and pieces. So January's was actually, the numbers have been called. So my January projects are Atlantis. So I've got to do some more Atlantis. And then this one was actually number 2 on my Whip Go, so that was one of the numbers for today. So, and my goal was to finish this. So I think I'm going to make that one, barring disasters, touch wood. And then, I've got a few other bigger things, patterns waiting in the wing. I've bought a Mirabilia, which I'll talk about another time. And then, there's a few other various larger projects. So as I finish Atlantis or Take Wing or Dilemma, I will start something else largish, but in between I will stitch some small stuff. I did the Barbara Anna Christmas sale. I've stitched a few Barbara Anna patterns last year. I just like her stuff. It's a little bit quirky. And then other bits and pieces, but I will talk more about that in my finished project. Oh, I've got one more piece of haul. This is Brendan of Fox and Rabbit's Fault. This is what the courier just brought, along with some other stuff. But look at that. Loch Ness Monster Shortbread. Though I don't think the actual shortbread is Loch Ness Monster, but he showed this tin, and I like the Loch Ness Monster. It's probably my favourite cryptid. And I've been to Loch Ness, and I just thought that was really cute. And I've been wanting sort of a small tin to keep some sewing bits and bobs in, because the old plastic thing I was keeping them in has finally died. So that, once I eat the shortbread, no hardship there, will become my sewing bits and bobs tin. But I think that is all, and I will stop here. I think I'm probably going to try and film the finish parade today as well, so I'll be wearing the same clothes in that, but I'm splitting them into two because it'll be too long, and I probably got close to 20 minutes. As I said, I'm not sure how often I'm going to do these. It's probably going to be like every month or so, or I'm not going to have much to show, and they're going to be quite short videos. But yeah, I'm looking forward to being part of Flosstube. As I said, it's brought me a lot of comfort watching people and seeing what people are stitching. Some of the people I've been watching, so Brenda and Laura, Betsy Klager, Nikki Noodles, Michelle Bendy Stitchy, as I said. I'm going to forget people. Fox and Rabbit, Mama Loves You GB, Ellen Reed, Maximum Cross Stitch, Pow Hour, Trixie Tricycle, Darcy Cameron, Elba Stitcher, lots of people, Brenda Handwork Maniac, who I've mentioned, just lots and lots of people. So I will, you know, try and shout out people as I can if I buy stuff that I am enabled by them. But, you know, it's just fun to talk about something that's engrossing and a respite for people and an escape for people. And I've really enjoyed the community, and so I just wanted to be a bit more of a part of it. So yeah, so that's me. I will sign off. Not sure how you sign off as a Flosstube properly, but I will see you next time. Bye.